I want to say a special hello to former Monroe County Executive Lucian Morin, who's here, and former City Council member Bob Stevenson. It's great to see you both this afternoon. Of course, greetings to all the members of the Johnson family, special friends and colleagues, and those who travel from various destinations just to be here today. I want to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. It's a beautiful day. I didn't think it was going to be this warm outside, but we made it. All week long, it's been cold and dreary here, and today the sun was shining, and it was like the heavens knew that this is an occasion we have been waiting for, and a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. We've been blessed with this gorgeous Friday afternoon in the middle of October. I'm sure Frederick Douglass is looking down and smiling and saying, "Well done, Mayor Johnson." As we finish celebrating 200 years of Douglass in our city, I'm sure people have much to say about his life, his decisions, and his choices during his time on this earth. But he did what he believed was the right thing to do at all times. And now we celebrate those successes in the city he chose as his home, as you, Mayor Johnson, have chosen Rochester as your home. So that maybe someday people in the future will celebrate 200 years of Johnson for all that you did to move our city forward. So as Mr. Douglass said so many years ago, those words ring true today. I prefer to be true to myself, even at the hazard of incurring the ridicule of others, rather than to be false to myself or my heritage. This past Saturday, we hosted an inspiring conference titled "Sleep Doesn't Help When It's Your Soul That's Tired." At that event, Dr. McMickle from Colgate Divinity spoke about one's heritage versus one's legacy. He said, "Your heritage is something that's given to you by your parents, passed down from generation to generation. Your legacy is something you pass on to your children and others around you." Today is a very special day because we are talking about the legacy of Mayor William A. Johnson, Jr. You see, I've been mayor for almost 5 years. Before then, I was president of City Council and a Northeast representative. Before that, I was lead counsel and chief of staff to Assemblyman David F. Gant. But before that, I was a student who struggled with math, a student that needed a little help to get through high school. And because of the tutoring programs that Mayor Johnson started as the president and CEO of the Urban League, I was able to pass my math Regents exam. I was able to graduate from high school. I was able to become who I am today, like so many other students that benefited from the many programs that he started, including the Urban League Black Scholars Program. Today is about building a legacy upon a solid rock so that no one can tear it down. I knew that when it was suggested, or when I suggested, that we name the Port Terminal building after Mayor Johnson, short-sighted people would automatically turn to the negative. They would automatically point to the one controversial portion of Mayor Johnson's tenure and go to great lengths to point out what's wrong instead of what's right. You see, throughout my tenure, anytime you mention the name Mayor Johnson, many talk about the fast ferry and it not being here any longer. But today, we're making sure that everyone understands that this is about what was right about the vision of the fast ferry. And why having a vision to do and accomplish the hard things in life is what's important to every mayor. Today, we choose this spot to be the place where we reclaim Mayor Johnson's heritage and rebuild his legacy. Why here? Because this is the place where 20 years from now, his great-grandchildren can stand and say, were it not for my great-grandfather, there would not be this beautiful port marina and all this other development in this area. This is the place where his grandchildren can stand and say, had it not been for the work of my grandfather, this building that bears his name would be dilapidated and run down. It was because of my grandfather's vision and the vision that he had that we have a building that is almost to capacity today. A building that houses weddings and restaurants, retirement parties, and events for seniors. This is a place where his children can say today, because my father had the foresight, we have a marina with the waiting list, cruise ships that dock here, and waterfront revitalization plan that the city is building its Rock the Riverway plan around. Today, I'm choosing to reclaim his name, his honor, and his legacy, because it is he who deserves the credit. Because without him, the city at this moment in time will most likely not be looking to develop this area. The plan for the marina and the port sat on a shelf for over 30 years. But you see, he had the vision and the foresight to take those plans down, dust them off, and build anew. This man has helped children and families from all over our community. It was his vision that rebuilt the South Wedge area. His vision that built new housing, including Carlson Commons, Douglas Square, and senior housing in Cornhill. His vision that said, let's have Charlotte become the Coney Island of the Northwest again. It will be because of his vision that we will continue to invest in this part of Northwest Rochester with the support of the community. So Mayor Johnson, I want you to know, and I want your family to know, and your friends to know, that 20 years from now, when your great-great-grandchildren come to this place, the plaques in the building that bear your name will hang with pride, and none of them will ever think about the fast ferry, because today we reclaim this place as William A. Johnson Jr. Terminal Building at the Port of Rochester. I am proud to stand upon your shoulders. I'm proud to call you an advisor, but most of all, I am proud to call you a visionary leader who made the hard decisions that ultimately brought us a beautiful marina, a dynamic port, and a better Charlotte. So as my daughter says to her little cousins, now y'all run, tell that. President John F. Kennedy once said, the problems of the world cannot possibly be solved by the skeptics or cynics whose horizons are limited by the obvious realities. We need men who can dream of things that never were and ask, why not? Mayor Johnson, you were that leader that dreamed and asked the question, why not? And because of your courage, your vision, and leadership, the city ventured to the north to redevelop the historic port of Charlotte. Because of your love for our city and your investment in its future, the city of Rochester takes great pride in renaming this building. Congratulations, Mayor Johnson. Thank you for all that you've done for the city of Rochester. And now I'd like someone else to come and say a few words. Please welcome my great friend and colleague, City Council President Loretta Scott.
It's all right, Clay. It's all right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really touched and inspired by the mayor's words, and they're on point. They truly are, except for that part about it being a warm day and all of that. I don't know where she got that from, because I'm freezing. But anyway, I want to say good afternoon on behalf of Rochester City Council, acknowledging again my co-workers, my colleagues who are here, Councilmember Lightfoot, Councilmember Molly Clifford. I think Councilmember Patterson is here, and there may be a couple of others, but I definitely wanted to acknowledge them once again. Now, before I became City Council President, before I was elected to the council, I served for many years as commissioner of what was then known as the city's Department of Parks, Recreation, and Human Services. Some said the Department of Fun Stuff. That fit. 12 of those years as commissioner was spent as part of Bill Johnson's administration, where I served as a member of his senior management team. So I know firsthand the commitment, dedication, and passion that this man had for our community during his tenure as mayor of this city. You can say a lot of things about Mayor Johnson. There's a lot you can say about him. But what you can't say is that he didn't care about this city and the people in it. You can't say he didn't spend countless hours working to make this community better, thinking of new ways to improve our neighborhoods, implementing new and innovative programs for our youth to keep them safe off the streets and inside our schools. You can't say he didn't take the time to meet with people, to listen to them, to hear their stories and their concerns, and to do something that would make a difference in the quality of their lives. You can't say he didn't try to bring innovative ideas and new excitement and vibrancy to our city, whether it was through the creation of a new outdoor music festival, Rochester Music Fest, which I produced, upgrading and modernizing the War Memorial Arena, which I really had a head, and I enjoyed doing that too. Bringing midnight fireworks downtown to bring in the new millennia, opening new police mini substations, empowering residents through the Neighbors Building Neighborhoods program, or taking on a new fast ferry that could promote tourism, boost our economy, and make Rochester a great port destination. You can't say these things. Why? Because if you did, you'd be lying. While the ferry may not have worked out the way he wanted it to, I challenge you to look around you. The end result of that project has been anything but a failure. The Port of Rochester has life running through it again. It's alive, it's growing, and it hasn't even reached its full potential. None of this would have happened without Mayor Bill Johnson. As City Council President, I know that if you want to keep moving forward, if you want to make improvements, if you want to see the city thrive, sometimes you have to make choices. You have to take risks. You can't be afraid to move forward. You can't be afraid to lead. While Mayor Johnson wasn't afraid to lead, and far too many have forgotten that, you led this city forward in a positive direction for 12 years. Hockey star Wayne Gretzky once said, you'll always miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, Mayor Johnson, today I want to say thank you for taking your shot. You didn't miss. You left us with this beautiful port area and so much more throughout our entire community. So today we honor you, your accomplishments, and all that you've done for this city. Congratulations on the renaming of this terminal building in your honor. May your legacy live on for generations.
We had a great working relationship. On a personal note, I think very highly of Bill. He's a person of integrity, and I would agree with the other speakers. Hard work and of purpose, and a real desire to not only want to improve all of Rochester, but treat everybody in Rochester with dignity and respect. And those things are important in public service. And I'm a bottom guy line. My family started out a stone's throw right up that hill on Fleming Street, and I do love everything Shalat. And we can say the ball definitely got moved in the right direction. This is a beautiful building. I'm down here all the time. The improvements out on Lake Avenue, making it more walkable, and I think there's more good things to come. So, Mayor Johnson, thank you. Well deserved that we should have something for your legacy for everything you did in the city of Rochester, and we wish you all the best. Proud to call you my friend. Thank you.
Our next two speakers know our honoree very well. They both hold the distinction of being longtime close friends of Mayor Johnson. I'm going to invite Clay Osborne to say a few words about his friend, and immediately following him, we'll hear remarks from Mr. Paul Smith, who has traveled here from Silver Springs, Maryland, to be with us this afternoon. Clay.
For those of you who wonder why I got up so quickly, I want to get out of the cold. I'm from Panama. Yo soy Panameño, right, Hilda? But before I say anything about my friend Bill Johnson, I want to talk about Mayor Lovely Warren, because I think today is also a day of recognizing her too. I know the little story about how this came to be. And I would say that when it was presented, the idea was presented to Mayor Lovely Warren, not the idea of the port, but the idea of recognizing Mayor Johnson. Mayor Warren said right away, you know, I'm going to recognize him by naming the port after him. The port, or the person said, right? and the port, and that person said that I think that may be a bad idea, because you can bring up all of this stuff and there'd be blowback against you and blowback against Mayor Johnson. I would say that because of her courage, her willingness to do the right thing, for her leadership, that this day came about. And in fact, as we think about it, there's no other better place than the Port of Rochester to name after Mayor Johnson. You know, there's this writer and author who talks about, I always mispronounce her name, I think it's Nosy, who talks about the danger of a single story, right? The danger of a single story. And the port is a great idea that there's more than one story. And the real story, and I think Mayor Warren has said it all, that the other stories about the port, this port is not about the fast ferry. The fast ferry was a very, very, very small part of this. Most of us who are leaders, and I think everyone here is a leader in some way, at home, in your family, in the community, know that to be a great leader, what you have to do is to take risk, take chances, and do it. And if you get more wins than you get losses, you are the leader. Bill Johnson, Mayor Johnson did that every day as I know him, right? He's my friend, so I'm here more to celebrate his, my friendship and his long-standing mentoring of me in many, many ways. Because when I have a challenge or a problem, the person I talk to is Mayor Johnson. I don't call him Mayor Johnson, I call him Bill. But today is a day to honor Mayor Johnson. And I would say the thing that reminds me much about Bill is that as mayor, he brought the outside in. He went around the country and he brought some great ideas, great creativity and innovation to the city of Rochester, and continued by Mayor Lovely Warren. And bringing those things in, I think this port really represents the opportunity to keep bringing things in under Mayor Johnson, Mayor Lovely Warren, and future mayors to be. So when we see the Port of Rochester called the Mayor William Johnson Port, it's truly, truly the place that we can break down barriers, welcome people here, and we can all go out to bring new ideas, better ideas to Rochester to make this place better. So my friend and my mayor today, Bill Johnson, I congratulate you for a job, work well done. So an applause for Mayor Johnson. And again, an applause for Mayor Lovely Warren for her courage. Thank you.
Well, good cold afternoon. He's from Panama, I'm from Florida, so I had to reach over and get my doggone coat and put it on. Mayor, you are lovely. I haven't heard you before, but I really like what you are saying and doing. and he tells me what you're doing. So it's wonderful to be here. Bill Johnson Jr. Has been my best friend. I guess we didn't start out as best friends, but he's been a best friend of mine for almost 60 years. We met at Howard University. At that time, we both thought we were politicians. We thought everything on campus needed our review and approval. He was editor of the school newspaper, as he had been in high school. What can I say, actually, about my dearest friend in a few minutes that hadn't already been said? You did such a good job. But I'm not going to sit down. I have some of his traits also. He's been studied and talked about almost since time began. And so let's start with a few side notes. He plays organ and piano well. He is often late, as we were today. He likes grocery shopping with coupons. I'm sure a lot of you don't know that. One time we were going shopping, he sent me home because he forgot his coupons while he waited in the grocery store. He couldn't finish without me getting those coupons. He cooks regularly and well. He made chili yesterday. I tested it. It was very good. He has what appears to be thousands of good friends that he really works very hard to keep up with. He sends hundreds of cards at Christmas and throughout the year, and all with personal notes. He rarely misses a funeral, perhaps related somewhat, in a small way, to the fact that his father was a funeral director, and he thought about being a funeral director himself. If you don't know by now, Bill is really smart, and he is a cradle politician. He was born with the gift of loving to be with people, a trait every good politician should have. He really is, I keep saying serious. That's a word that comes back time and time again. He's a man of many words, many ideas, many more words, great passion, greater impatience. He's getting a little more patient as he has gotten a little older and perhaps out of office. His voice isn't as strong as it used to be. And did I say words? As I went through my folder, I keep a folder on him. I have been keeping a record of Bill Johnson. It's one of my jobs for most of my adult life. I realized how much Bill really liked words and ideas, and just how voluminous his ideas for change were. Every plan of his was detailed to the 10th degree, so I'm just fully realizing his biggest problem as a politician. His brain is simply too big. He simply has too many ideas and words that he, not we, understands, and he, not we, insists that we all would be better off if we could only understand fully and accept what he is truly trying to teach us. He is indeed a teacher, too. To really understand Bill, you must have some understanding of the segregated 50s and 60s Lynchburg, Virginia, where he was raised. That environment started his activism and concern for the disadvantaged. He used his words then to challenge the Jim Crow South while a young editor of his high school newspaper. His convictions are real, deep, and transparent. I emphasize the word transparent. If you think he's hiding something, I can assure you, and you already know, he's simply not. And a lot of his transparency and convictions come really directly from his mother. At his mother's funeral, Bill crafted and delivered, as expected, a long and fitting tribute to her. Near the end, he spoke about 7 lessons his mother instilled in him and his sister and brother. 2 are key to his governance success. The first was the importance of being honest. He said of her, I quote, "My mother taught me that early in life. When I stole some money that she had hidden away, the punishment she administered has been a lifelong lesson that you work for what you want, not take from somebody else," unquote. You can say a lot about Bill Johnson, and a lot certainly has been said, but you would be a liar, and to be current, you'd be a purveyor of fake news if you call Bill dishonest. I and others over the years have on occasion suggested that he simply not say something about a subject, because we knew or thought that the public could only take so much honesty. Of course, he never followed our advice. It only mattered that his truth be told. The second lesson is even more to the essence of this public man. His mother said to love your neighbors and take care of them when they most need it. He said at the funeral, and I quote, "Mother spent her whole life taking care of people," unquote. And she took care of me, so I know all about that. If you know nothing else about my friend, you must understand that Bill, just like his mother, is just like his mother in this respect. He really loves taking care of people. He loves being with people and being present for people. As mayor, he was everywhere. You all know that, always present. Particularly, I think it should be noted, his relationships with the elderly, which was always beyond politics and a photo shoot. He takes great joy in spending time with the elderly. He's not running for office now, but many of his visits and lunch dates these days are with them. We had one date last night with one. Yes, my dear friend is a very, very serious guy. When you look back over his career as mayor, you see tons of ideas and explanations and visions of a better day. But people like Bill are destined to run into a lot of bumps along the way. He just talks a lot, and he puts out so many darn ideas. You can't possibly agree with all of them. Just too many. So it's just too many ideas for normal human consumption. Like Jesus, who was a person with a lot of ideas. He was welcomed into town with palms waving, but they did crucify him, didn't they? And he was here to save the world, not just Rochester. Bill has his crosses. We all do. But what he achieved, and more importantly, how he achieved, is the reason more words in the form of a name, William A. Johnson Jr., is enshrined this day on a building in the hearts of the people he served. Thank you.
Now, if everyone would please rise to your feet and welcome the man that we pay tribute to today, Mayor William A. Johnson Jr.
Thank you so much. Now, I was born in Virginia, but I lived in Rochester for almost over half of my life, and I know that it's not cold until there's snow on the ground. So today is a warm day as far as I'm concerned. I have to say I wrote these remarks down so that I could keep them within a time frame, but now I came here and got the greatest surprise of my life. I see my 3 great-grandchildren who surprised me, and including my newest great-grandson, all of 9 weeks old, Tristan, with his mother. So that saves me a trip to New Haven. And let me say to Kelly and to Wendy, and Mayor, I don't know if you realize this, you just saved me several $1,000s. So Kristen and Wendy, don't have a funeral, just play this tape and take me to the cemetery. That's all you have to do. So there's more money for you all to spend after that, all right? So I am, and let me just say, again, surprise, my good friend, Lou Morin. I called, now Lou and I get together, and he will not like it, Paul, that you say I get together with old people, because Lou is really one of the most vigorous 90-year-old people that I know. But I called him the other day to say, it's time for us to get together and have lunch again. He said, oh, I'm going out of town. I'll call you when I get back. So he was holding out on me. So Lou, I'm delighted to see you here. I look back and I see the former president of the New York State Conference of Mayors, my friend Bob Elliott, came all the way up from Hudson on to Croton. My friend Stuart Putnam, who came all the way up from Pittsburgh, the former CEO of St. Mary's Hospital, and so many others of you. I'll get in trouble if I keep calling names. But I am most humble for the honor that is being bestowed on me today, and I'm most appreciative that Mayor Lovely Warren has chosen this site and this occasion to recognize my service to the city of Rochester. That so many longtime friends and associates have come to this ceremony on a brisk fall day is deeply appreciated. I will get in deep trouble if I attempt to recognize each of you by name. Hopefully I will have spoken to each of you before we depart this place. I am co-teaching a class at St. John Fisher, and tonight is the last weekend of classes, tonight and tomorrow. My teaching colleague, who's here, Dr. Marie Sianka, will cover the start of the class at 5:30 and told me to come later. So thanks for that kindness, Marie. But I will come because I do want to get paid for this weekend. I hope that you will allow me to deviate again for one moment to recognize my baby sister, actually my only sister, Norris Elsie Johnson, who is celebrating her 74th birthday today. She drove up last night with my daughter Kelly and my granddaughter Kennedy, and as I say, they were hiding. I talked to them this morning. They're hiding to me that other guests had come in from New Haven, so Tori and Emmy and Caden. And I had a little story about Caden I took out, and now let me just say it here. Caden is 8 years old, very precocious young man. And this summer I was bringing he and Emmy. They were spending a couple of weeks up to the beach. They wanted to swim, and I took them to lunch over at the Char Pit. And something came up about me being the mayor, and I said, no, I'm not the mayor anymore, Caden. And he goes in that restaurant, and he says to everybody, the mayor is coming in. So I was going to surprise him when he came next summer so that he could see the name on the building, but he outsmarted me, and he's here today. I want to thank Paul and Clay for those very kind words and for their continuing love and support. I've gone through every imaginable experience with these two guys. Clay is really the impetus. He was that person he was referring to talking to the mayor. He suggested it, the mayor took it and immediately embraced the idea. and brought it to reality. I'm also most appreciative that I'm able to read this and enjoy it while I am still alive. Paul and my dear friend Sheila Jackson came up from Maryland and Virginia, and they have to return home immediately after this program, so they are very anxious that I bring these words to a close. When the mayor informed me of her plans and wondered if I had a problem with this location, I immediately approved. While it has been said, and I repeat, it has been looked upon by some people as the home of the fast ferry, and let me say, I have no shame about the fast ferry. Brian Sharp interviewed me this morning, and he asked me if I could do any one thing over, would I change anything? And I said, about the fast ferry, and I said, the only thing I would do, I announced that I was retiring, and I wasn't running for re-election in 2005, and I would change that. Because if I would have won re-election, the fast ferry would still be here today. I'm not the one to shut it down. Just remember that, all right? So when she said, oh, we're going to go to this spot, it's going to bring up some bad memories, I said, no, because we need to remember that this is an important place in the history of this city. In the 19th century, it was one of two ports that from which goods that were made in this community were shipped from here to Canada. Up until the mid-20th century, it was a place where ferry boats crossed this Lake Ontario to Canada on a regular basis. So it's a very, very important place. In 1992, under the administration of Mayor Thomas P. Ryan Jr., the important local waterfront revitalization plan was completed. And it was my duty as his successor to begin its implementation. The LWRP covers the entirety of the Genesee River through the city, through the length of the city, as well as this Lake Ontario waterfront and the Erie Canal. Every mayor since Ryan has implemented projects in that local waterfront revitalization program. Some have been more challenging than others, but steady progress is being made. The inherent importance of this site is its significance of intergovernmental collaboration at its finest. The late Congresswoman Louise Slaughter brought millions of federal dollars here, as did the efforts of Senators Clinton and Schumer. The state of New York invested heavily in this port, and the surrounding areas, like the building of a new Colonel O'Rourke Bridge just down the street. Without the support of County Executive Doyle, that would not have been possible. Our legislative delegation, with the strong bipartisan support from legislators Gant, Morelli, and Robach, intensely lobbied the governor, speaker, and Senate Majority Leader to make crucial funding investments. And finally, my leadership team, the late Deputy Mayor Jeff Carlson, Commissioners Ed Doherty, Loretta Scott, Fashoon Koo, and Tom Argus, Finance Director Vince Cafagna, Corporation Counsel Linda Kingsley, NBN Director Jackie Whitfield, and the late Planning Director Larry Stead. These were the ones whose jobs and duties focused them on the development of these public areas. They devoted thousands of hours, for which they have never gotten fully recognized and appreciated, for the professional expertise in bringing this port project and other developments along our waterfront to a successful conclusion. The mayor has honored me with my name attached to this building, but there are many others whom I work with who are equally deserving of this recognition, and for whom I will be eternally grateful for having the opportunity to work with. My thanks would not be complete without calling the name of Bridget Birch White, who served with great distinction as my communication director at both the city and the Urban League. Bridget has put in endless hours to make today's event a success, a tribute to our nearly 40 years working relationship and friendship. Finally, I ask you to see this site not as a location where an important project did not succeed, but as an example of the creativity, vision, and risk-taking that was an important part of my administration. It is a place where we dare to dream of great possibilities, of linking a mid-sized American city with one of the largest metropolitan communities in the world. It is a place where citizens joined in collaborative planning with government to transform that community. It is a demonstration of both the grand possibilities and the great risk for linking private and public funding and ingenuity. And it is a place which has spawned other successful projects, both in the present and the future. The great Michael Jordan once said, "I can accept failure. Everybody fails at something, but I can't accept not trying." For 12 years, we never accepted people who argued that something would not work. They said that we couldn't bring grocery stores back to the city. We tried and we did. They told us that we could not reduce the high murder rates. We tried and we did. They told us that black citizens would never work with the police. We tried and we did. They told us that it would be a waste of time and money to transform the Port of Rochester from a dying and dreary place. We tried and we did. Criticize me if you must, but you can never say that I took no for an answer. And for those who still won't accept it, frankly, my friends, I don't give. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mayor Johnson. If his family would like to join us, we are going to do the unveiling.
Letter fell off. Yep. Well, yes, we're okay.
Terminal building at the Port of Rochester.
Thank you.
Awesome job.
Let my dad's going to her people. I gotta take a lesson from
Congratulations. This is just awesome.
You'll see they'll be up in a couple weeks, so you have to come back and see the flags.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, man. Me miss you. How you doing,
Andre?
Yeah.
I still got you on my list to say. I got to call Bob.
I got about
before
50
snow.
straight. I'm doing fine. I'm walking around here.
2, 3.
Now look at them because they're ugly.
2, 3. Oh. All right.
Okay. That's our call. I'm happy for you.